Hey guys, it's Ian from SS8000 Cars and welcome to my new home. Now today we have the 718 Boxster sitting in the drive, and I thought it was worth having a video to look at it because I do genuinely think it's phenomenal. Really smart. Power is 300 PS, 380 Newton meters of torque. And 300 PS doesn't sound a lot in today's world, but actually it's enough power. The weight is about 1500 kgs, and it's grown into being a particularly nice looking car, in my opinion. There have been a lot of reiterations of the Boxster through the years. We ourselves had the Cayman GT4, and basically exactly the same car, just with a fixed roof. And I think they've got the looks absolutely down to a fine art. Absolutely gorgeous. 0 to 60 for the manual. Yes, you can still get a manual. Is 5.1 and 4.9 for the PDK, which this car is. I really think it's nice looking. I've managed to keep this particularly clean. Picked it up a few days ago and managed to get it back in the dry. Been out on a few runs on it, but not gone a long way yet. It is the sweet spot of the Porsche range in some ways, the Boxster, because mid-engine car, the handling is delightful. Now from my own perspective, given we have the GT3 and the McLaren 675, it could do with a little bit more power, and certainly the chassis could take it, but of course it would then start stepping on the toes of the 992 Porsche, which I suspect Porsche don't want to happen. But then of course if you want, you can get the Cayman GT4 RS these days, which of course has the GT3 engine, and I haven't driven one, but I understand it. It's a fantastic sounding car. You have the air intakes literally behind your ear. So if you imagine the Cayman would be a coupe, but just here, make wonderful whooshing sounds. Going inside, seems to be leather everywhere. Again, as I said, this is the PDK. They've enlarged the central screen as far as they can, so when you're looking at the sat-nav it goes right out to the edges, but it's still actually a fairly old interior, this, because it hasn't changed much since my GT4, and I had my GT4 9 years ago. But it has the Sport Chrono Pack. I don't actually know whether that's standard on the car. Funnily enough, although it's a 24 plate, this one doesn't have the technology to beep you when you go 1 mile an hour above the speed limit, which I have to say I'm quite pleased about, because it saves you going into the system every time to switch it off. Again, the controls and the layout inside are very much the way it would have been when the Boxster was first introduced, and the previous model of course before the 718. So it is a little old-fashioned, but I don't think, I quite like that. Obviously the 911s and the other models, the KNs and the Macans, have all gone 100% digital. Certainly that's true of the electric Macan. Actually, I'm not sure whether it's true of the combustion engine Macan, which is still in production. There are so many developments going on at the moment. I do wonder where it's all going to end, to be truthful, because I think that it's perfectly likely that there just won't be enough charging stations for manufacturers to be producing all their cars in electric form by 2030. I don't see how that can happen. Apparently there's about 15% of cars on the road that are electric, and there aren't enough charging stations or anything near to that available now, and half of them don't work. And you can try queuing, but if somebody comes in the other side, they'll get the electric charger first. So it's all a bit of a nonsense, and governments are supposed to provide guidelines for these things, and our governments appear to just want to let the corporates profit. And as you probably know, to fill a car up with electricity at a motorway service station costs just about the same as putting fuel in it, whereas at home it's about a third. And coming into the driver's side, this one's a very new example. It's done 2,000 miles. I do like the idea of a convertible. Unfortunately, the weather is so cold that it hasn't given me the opportunity to put the roof down. Although I have driven the Boxster before, so it's a lovely experience. The other thing that's absolutely incredible about the Boxster is, of course, is the rigidity. I mean, given that it's not a carbon tub, you'd expect it to flex a little bit. Not noticeably, although quite clearly I haven't had this on the track, but on the road it's very compliant. Stiffens up a little bit in sport, but you know, it's still perfectly manageable. I suppose the only thing that, if I had a reservation about the car, the only thing I would say is genuinely it's a 4-cylinder engine, and I know they have to go that way, but I suppose you go for the GTS, don't you, if you want a 4-litre 6. But the standard, I always think the standard Boxster should be a 6-cylinder as well, but it hasn't been for a very long time. It is lovely proportioned, and they've made the front end more aggressive, I think, in the new iteration. I think it looks really smart. Introduce as much technology onto the car as you can. Now, the interesting thing, of course, is as Porsche have moved away really from switches to touch screens, this, of course, goes back to switches, which is rather nice. Even to the lights, I really do like being able to decide when I want the lights to come on and when I want them to go off. On the Panamera, and I think, and on the 992, the car decides for you, because it would know best, of course. Okay, so if we have a quick look under the bonnet and in the boot, of course, being mid-engine, the engine is right behind the seats, so you're not going to see much of that, I imagine. Very much the same type of space as I've got available in the GT3 at the front, and then of course the only thing I've got available in the back is the area behind the seats, because there are no rear seats, of course, whereas in the Boxster the engine's forward of here and there's quite a lot of space in there. This car is a practical car. Goodness, wow, I'd forgotten. Of course, I've never owned a Boxster. It was the Cayman that I owned, so again that's the same. You have room behind the seats, and you also had a small boot, but I don't think it was as big as this. Maybe it was a while ago now, so I think your memory plays tricks on you. Very smart alloys. Coming back to the wheels again, I think they're very smart, all in black, and the front tyres are to 35 ZR20s, and then we've got 35s at the back, so 265 to 35s, which is a little unusual because normally you'd expect the profile to drop at the back. Lovely roof. I mean, you know, at speed I'm sure all soft tops are the same these days. They're multi-layered, so they're quite sophisticated, and of course you get a glass screen, a fairly thin glass screen at the rear, it has to be said, but a glass screen which has a heated rear window integrated into it. It's a good looking car. It's grown up nicely. The Boxster is what I would say. And I like the rear haunches. I don't know whether they're bigger than before. I suspect this is the same basic body as the original Boxster, but or the last iteration rather than the original Boxster. I think the original Boxster was different. It's got a lovely fruity exhaust tone. I mean, again, it's a 4-cylinder engine, so you know it can never be quite as sonorous as a 6. Well guys, that was really just to give a quick indication on the car. You know, great fun in the summer, this car. And as usual, Porsche do the most wonderful steering wheels. They're completely round, which I do quite like. A few switches on them, but not too many. And of course you have the rotary switch here, which allows you to play between normal, sport, sport plus, or to set it up individually. So it's really nice. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed that. It's just a quickie. We don't do that many videos these days, but when I do get something that I find interesting, I quite like to let you guys share it. This is the latest version of a car that's been immensely profitable for Porsche. Alright guys, it's Ian at SS8000 Cars signing off. Thanks for watching.